good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Sean.
This is Alex.
And you're listening to another episode of Coaster Kings Radio. And today's episode is all about 2024 and all of our new attractions. Given there's like a bunch of new attractions all over the world, we decided to separate it by continents or like location in the world rather than doing the whole world all at once because there's just too much going on. And so our first episode is North America. We wanted to do all of the Americas, but it turns out Latin America doesn't have a whole lot going on right now. So we're just gonna...
Yeah, according to Roller Coaster Database, there's not a single roller coaster happening in South America.
I know, it's kind of crazy. I mean, I guess that makes sense. I don't really think of South America a whole lot.
Like, I don't think even Mexico... I don't think Canada is even getting a new coaster. Well, I guess they are. They're getting that... Vancouver's getting that Zamperla Intamin composite thing, but that's not... That doesn't have a finishing date on it yet. I don't know if they even know if that's going to open in 2024.
I don't even know that much about it. Anyway, so turns out most of our list is actually just going to be North America, mostly America.
Yeah.
And we're going to start with the All-American Triple Loop.
I hate that name.
Which, yeah, the name is wild because, well, it's not an American...
American Dryer Looping was such a cute name.
But even then, I feel like the All-American part makes no sense. The ride was never previously located in America. It was manufactured in Europe.
It's typical American dick suck behavior. Saying all American and slapping it on something is just...
I like the colors. And it's already... The trains are already on the track, which is also kind of neat.
Yeah.
So it's a nice addition to Indiana Beach. Previously operated as Chimera in... What's the park called again?
Well, now it was
La Feria.
Yeah, La Feria, Chapultepec. Now it's been renamed. I didn't even recognize it on Roller Coaster Database at first because I'm like, what is this? It's the urban park. I guess they've got a suspended family coaster that's going to open supposedly this year, which is why it didn't come up in our search query for Roller Coaster Database for 2024 coasters.
Where?
The family and at what was once... Yes, a Vekoma suspended family coaster for the park in Mexico City, formerly known as La Feria.
Oh.
But Roller Coaster Database says it's opening in 2023, which I don't know if I believe that.
Anyway. All right, let's go back to the extra coaster we're talking about, which is the All-American Triple Loop.
This ride was really fun.
Triple Loop.
It was terrifying.
This is fourth location. Apparently super intense.
I don't know what they were planning on doing before Galaxyland in Edmonton decided to scrap Mindbender, because this ride collected the trains from Mindbender very quickly. It was like, that transaction seemed to happen, like, boom, like, okay.
Like it happened.
And I'm thinking to myself, what were they planning on doing before? Was that related to why it's been delayed?
So I actually didn't know this was the first ever roller coaster to have 3 vertical loops.
Yes.
Because these, Aero loopers did that for a while in the late 80s and 90s. This thing is from 1984, and it's in its 4th home. So I'm a little surprised that it's actually going to open, but it looks like it's pretty much ready to go. Everything is in place. The station's built. It looks really nice, the repaint of it. It looks good. I'm excited for them. I'm excited to ride it, honestly. Wish it wasn't so out of the way to get there.
I'm looking forward to this for this park because we went there during 2020 and I had an enjoyable experience and things seem to be in good shape, especially considering things had not had a reputation for being in good shape at that park prior to that point. So I hope it works. I hope it opens and runs. My only concern for the project is that it's loud. The ride's really loud, and I hope
it's like in a neighborhood too.
Yeah, and it's surrounded by vacation homes, like vacation cabins and stuff. So I hope it doesn't turn into an area of contention with the rental property owners and the noise pollution. But I mean, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I guess, worse things could happen than if it has to be closed during nighttime hours or something, but hopefully it's not an issue like with the city and things. But I guess
if they were allowed to build it, I'm sure they had to do some sort of noise report on that ride.
You would think, but this is Monticello, Indiana, where I could see it not being a problem until it's already a problem.
Next up on our list is Bobcat, which is a new coaster for Six Flags Great Escape. When's the last time they got a new coaster? It's been a minute, right?
The last time they got a new coaster was when they got the Boomerang.
That's a while ago.
The Boomerang is like their only roller coaster that was like constructed from the ground up. Oh, and the Kiddie Coaster. The Frankie's Mine Train. Every other coaster that has ever been at that park
It's a
is
relocation.
relocated.
So Bobcat is, if I'm not mistaken, it's a copy of Timber.
No, it's not.
It's not?
It's similar.
But they use all this Timber footage, so the B-roll footage for it.
Oh yeah, they just use it's like if you could say that it's from the same product line because it's definitely the same kind of coaster.
Yeah, it's a
But
gravity
the
group.
layout's quite different.
Looks good. It's cute. It's not super tall or big. What it means, it's only 430 meters long.
Yeah,
about 17 meters tall, and top speed is about 64 kilometers an hour. So all in all, I think a great family coaster.
it's a really wonderful replacement for the bobsled, which will be sorely missed, but was definitely, I think, at the end of its operational life after being constructed 4 separate times and then operating, or I guess arguably operating, occasionally operating at the Great Escape over the course of 25 years. I was really lucky to have ridden it. I know people who have tried to go to Great Escape and ride this bobsled coaster many, many times and were unsuccessful. And on my one visit to Great Escape in 2013, I was successful in riding it. But it's a huge ride with terrible capacity, and it was extremely finicky and a maintenance nightmare. And so replacing this with what will be a relatively reliable, high capacity, and low maintenance family wooden coaster is like best case scenario for them, I think.
I think so too. Next up on our list, we have Daddy Pig's roller coaster, which is.
Wait, we're going to talk about Catapult
We
Falls
are
first?
after Daddy
Okay,
Pig.
Ango, you want to talk about Daddy Pig first?
Yeah, Daddy Pig's roller coaster
Yeah.
was pretty much a clone of the currently existing Daddy Pig's roller coaster here in Florida.
During our research, I found out there's actually 2 Daddy Pig coasters opening because there's 2 Peppa Pig World clones. The other one is in Germany, so we'll be talking about that in the Europe 2024 coasters and new rides.
This one's going to North Richland
This one is
Hills,
going to
Texas.
a suburb of Dallas. It's pretty close to like Grand Prairie, which means that it's close to Six Flags Over Texas. So it is like the Dallas area project. I'm not exactly sure where it is in relationship to Frisco, which is where the Universal project is. I'm actually going to look that up.
It's so funny how Texas is seeing a new theme park renaissance.
Frisco is having like a little park renaissance.
It's cute nonetheless. If anyone that doesn't really know Daddy Pig's roller coaster, it is his Imperla family coaster. It features both a lift and a launch. The lift is booster wheel, and then the launch is a tire propel boost. So using wheels all around.
Yeah,
it's a cute little ride.
We still don't have it. We don't have the
gone
over there. We haven't succumbed to the temptation of a new credit yet because it's like expensive. And honestly, Peppa Pig World looks very mid. Looks like a lot of concrete, and it also is just we're very much not the target audience for this project. So like I haven't felt comfortable like
far
going.
Yeah.
Okay, so Frisco is also part of Dallas. So the Dallas area is getting this Peppa Pig World.
They just got the Grand Prairie theme park.
Yeah.
They have Circus Over Texas.
Yes.
They have that big indoor water park resort. They have a new...
Yeah, they have a Tomfooleries or something there.
No, what's that one called again? The Epic Water Park, whatever? That they opened a couple years ago?
Houston.
Huh?
Is that not in Houston? Oh, no, I'm thinking of a different one. You're right.
Texas is opening a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, Texas is always, there's...
I mean,
not much
speaking of
else to
Texas,
do.
Catapult Falls
and then
next
we have
year.
Catapult Falls.
SeaWorld San Antonio's Launch Log Flume, which they now call it Launch Log Flume
now
Coaster.
it's sort of like a cross. It's some sort of, not only is it a hybrid attraction, but it's like kind of a roller coaster. It's kind of a water coaster, but they also call it a launched log flume. But I think a launched water coaster is probably a more accurate statement. Because,
really? I think it's more like a log flume.
Well, I think it's going to resemble more like Intamin's water coasters.
Because I think it's more like the Chapa system, but having a crazy vertical lift.
Is it?
I think so.
Because I was picturing something like Divertical, but with like a launch. Maybe like on a
No, because you used to
level.
use conveyor belts to launch it.
Oh, that's true.
So the vehicles are definitely much lighter than that.
That's so weird.
It's definitely like a log flume. I think it gets added in the name Log Flume Coaster this year because they needed to make it more marketable for being delayed a whole year. No, literally, because it said like, we have a prototype.
Now it's a roller coaster.
Sometimes it takes forever to open a prototype, and I think that's the whole reason behind them kind of changing up what the ride is categorized as. But I'm excited for it because Catapult Falls will not only be nice aesthetic, it kind of has that Infinity Falls aesthetic, like SeaWorld Orlando.
Yes.
And also, it's just like a cool thing, like a launch log flume. We love a good log flume. That corner of the park can definitely use it. I think
I
our
love it
lineup in
because
general
they
is
lost their
strong.
aero log flume years and years ago, and I could have ridden it, and I didn't, and I regret that. But at least now it's being replaced by another log flume, and it even follows the same layout as the original log flume, which is, I think, a nice homage to the Texas splashdown.
Right.
And there's probably some of the water basins and stuff probably didn't need to be completely rebuilt. Like, it was in my mind, it seemed like a really logical, logical and cost efficient addition because of the infrastructure that they're probably able to repurpose for the new attraction.
Yeah, I think that was one of the projects I'm most excited for next year. I was
If
kind of looking forward to
it
riding it
had
this
opened
year.
on time, we would have gone and ridden it right away.
Next up on the list, we got Fire in the Hole at Silver Dollar City,
Oh, yes.
which is kind of like a complete tear-down and rebuild sort of situation.
So they're tearing down the old Fire in the Hole and rebuilding it in a new location next to the Fireman's Landing flat ride area, and RMC is completely building the ride. I'm guessing that they're probably going to salvage some of the scenes and audio animatronics and stuff.
No, they're all kind of need some...
Like,
they're so old.
I would think that there's some stuff that can be salvaged.
It's funny because the ride is almost... I mean, it's well constructed already.
Yeah.
They're so far along already with the construction of this new ride.
I think it's going to be really cool, and I also have high hopes for... This to me seems like a two-part project, where the first part is demolishing the old Fire in the Hole and building the new one, and the second part will be replacing the old Fire in the Hole
With a new ride.
A new ride slash...
Especially because it kind of has
area
access to the...
slash...
to the mountain hillside over there where they can add a big ride.
I suspect they're going to blow that midway all the way up to Outlaw Run and make Outlaw Run like the end of the midway.
That'd be nice.
And connect it back around to the Owens Farm or whatever the farm-themed area is.
It would actually be pretty easy because the only thing that's in the way is the current ride building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't think that building's probably not up to code. So it's just as well.
Fire in the Hole creeps me out. Hopefully the new one is a little nicer.
I think it's still
the original kind of gives me... It kind of
the bulb knobbers are still probably going to be a hallmark of that experience. It will still be nightmare fuel.
Interesting, because the concept art doesn't show any of them.
And I bet because it's RMC, they're going to have operational issues. They're going to have issues with getting it to run multiple vehicles at once. It's going to spend half of the first year down.
You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, this seems like an easy project.
But RMC takes easy projects and turns them into maintenance nightmares. So I'm just saying, like, this is still kind of different for them because they're going to be running lots of individual trains on this ride. That seems to be the number one thing that, like, is straightforward that RMC makes difficult is running multiple trains on their ride. And I think, I don't know, I mean, even, like, Wildcat's Revenge had issues this year, like, operating consistently. Like, it never fails. Any new ride that RMC builds is going to be problematic, even if it is, like, the most straightforward and simple thing conceptually. So I'm sure Fire in the Hole will be no different. So when it opens, we may wait for 2025.
Next up on our list is Flash Vertical Velocity.
Oh my god, okay. This is the one...
This is probably, like, the ride.
This is the ride.
Of North America, in my opinion.
Yeah, of all the rides being built in North America in 2024...
This is probably
the one
that
I'm the most excited about.
So, for those that don't know what it is, it's a Vekoma Super Boomerang, which means that we're finally getting a new generation Vekoma in this country, which is already really important.
Mm-hmm.
But then we're also looking at having a massive ride that is... Is it technically a hyper?
No, it's like...
just short of a hyper?
It's, if I'm not mistaken, it's like 160, 170 feet tall, the spike. It's 436 meters long, 95 kilometers per hour. The stats aren't really, like, the most exciting thing about this ride. It's really
think the elements are.
The elements and the pacing and getting to do all of it backwards.
Because it's going to be, like, launched. It has several launches. It doesn't actually have any sort of propulsion except for LAMs, which is nice.
So it has, like, a backwards launch first, right?
Yeah, it has a backwards launch up to Spike.
And then it says a swing launch first.
And then you launch up to Giant Stall, which is like a half-loop stall that just stalls forever.
It's like a Top Gun stall, but a half-loop.
And then you do a little twist out of it, and then you have a double-up, which turns into a dive loop-ish, kind of like Chandelle dive.
Yes.
into this upward barrel roll.
And there's a launch.
Which the upward barrel... Yeah, there's another launch there. There's an upward barrel roll looks very much like the upward barrel rolls that we've seen on Batman and Robin the Chiller, and it's right in front of Batman and Robin.
Yes.
Old plots, I think that's really cool.
My headcanon is that was deliberate. I know that...
They swooped at the right
I know that
minute.
Flash was already being built before Great Adventure got their hands on it, but I will not be convinced that there wasn't some sort of, like, light bulb moment when they saw the chance to put this ride in Great Adventure, especially since it's going pretty much right where Chiller was. They're going to be like... People are going to, if you know, you know. Like, people are going to see this and be like, oh, this is related. It's not going to go as fast. I mean, the barrel roll thing on the Chiller was outrageous. It, like, no pun intended, it really barreled through that roll. This is not going to go through it. It's not going to navigate it as rapidly, but it still looks really similar. And I don't think there's any other ride in the world that does this maneuver that, like, so closely resembles this very particular Batman and Robin the Chiller maneuver. Is it a coincidence? Probably. Might it not be a coincidence? That's my theory.
It's totally a coincidence because it's at the last minute.
But it's like,
model.
But it could have been anything. They could have sent this to any park, and Great Adventure could have gotten anything. But Great Adventure got this coaster, this particular weird thing. They could have. I mean, there's like 5 other Six Flags parks that probably could have accepted this roller coaster and arguably needed it more. But they gave it to Great Adventure because of Chiller. I've decided.
All right. Well, the best thing about the ride obviously is going to be the whole backwards part of it. First of all, we love a good vertical spike backwards.
It's got like LSMs at the bottom of every valley, doesn't it?
Just
the dive drop?
After the dive drop and in the station, I think.
I don't know why we're asking questions that we could easily answer by looking at Cloud Shuttle, which is the name of the
existing super
boomerang that already exists and even has like a similar paint job to what we can expect from the Flash.
It's kind of funny, yeah. But doing that whole layout backwards, I think, is going to be the highlight. I think this is one of the better, if not the best, announcements for the U.S. because the new Ace Vacomas are just amazing, and having this product line or having this model here in the United States is going to be good. I think it's going to be a good fit for the park too, given that the park doesn't really have a shuttle coaster.
No, they don't, and they have had shuttle coasters for
lightning
most
loops
of their history.
And then they had... It's funny because it's always been dueling, too.
Yeah.
They had lightning loops and they had Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
And
this
now
is
we're
their
here.
first non-dual track shuttle coaster. I guess, and I mean, they also had Ultra Twister, which is sort of a shuttle coaster in its own way. But I digress. I think this is going to be great. I think it's amazing that there's a park building one of these that isn't somewhere in China or Poland. So I'm just really happy that something from the modern Vekoma Looper echelon is going to be like super accessible. Because right now, for the next gen Vekoma Loopers, you either have to go to China, Poland, or northern Denmark to ride one. And pretty soon, now you will be able to go to New Jersey.
Not northern Denmark.
Yeah.
All right, staying with the Vekoma game, we are moving on
Another Vekoma shuttle.
We're moving on to Good Gravy.
Good Gravy!
Which is coming to Holiday World in Indiana, which is going to be a junior Vekoma family boomerang. Unique layout, which is cool.
I'm really tickled by the campiness of this all.
Thanksgiving.
It's themed to a gravy boat. And you go through a giant can of gravy.
For those listening that don't know what a gravy boat is, it's kind of like a gravy,
Ask
like
your
a serving
grandma
dish.
if you don't know what a gravy boat is.
Yeah, but the Europeans are going to have no clue.
They don't have gravy boats in
I
Europe?
don't know what they call it that. A gravy boat?
It's literally just a ceramic
Yeah, it's
vessel
like a serving dish.
specifically for gravy. It kind of looks like an oil lamp, like an Aladdin.
Gravy, sauce, anything, yeah.
If you had an Aladdin-style looking ass oil lamp that was made out of white ceramic, unpainted, except with like little flower embellishments, then you've got a gravy boat.
I think a nice thing is it's actually a really sprawling layout. It takes a lot of space, and it kind of goes about this whole theme.
It has a tagline, America's graviest coaster.
That's funny.
I can't handle this. I mean, as much as I want to roll my eyes, like, I can't help but smile.
It's going to be a big major ride for them. They have a giant station and cube building for it. It seemed like a house.
The vacancy left by Pilgrim's Plunge has been so annoying this entire time. So it's nice. As much as I wanted a Mack water coaster in here, I'm just glad that they're putting something in what used to be, so it doesn't feel like this ugly, cavernous maw vacancy left by their old water ride that you have to navigate around to get to Thunderbird.
And that big spike at the end of the ride is vertical. Almost vertical. It's steep.
It's pretty steep.
It's steep. I'm into it.
I think there's going to be some nice forces, I think, when you come off the ride and you hit that first right turn. Because this ride needs a lot of momentum to go all the way to the end of its track and all the way back, which means that it's going to hit that first turn, I think, at a decent speed. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And I think the landscaping and theming around it is really nice.
It's just cute. It's just different.
They got that playground. They've got the little seating areas.
The landscaping
little vending
is cute.
spots. The queue is going to be themed to a literal house you go into.
You get to go underneath the can of gravy. Like, that's the marquee for the entrance of the queue, is the can of gravy tunnel that you pass through at the beginning. So, I support campiness and kitschiness in theme parks and things that will just kind of make you chuckle or smile, and this is definitely one of those things. So, good on them.
Next up, we have Hot Wheels Bone Shaker.
We have two.
The ultimate thrill ride.
Double project, and they're both called Hot Wheels.
Yeah, so there's this new Mattel Adventure Park coming to Glendale, Arizona, which is really close to Phoenix. And It's kind of surprising to me that they're building a brand new theme park. But that market is really missing a big theme park. Even though it's got some smaller parks.
Castles and Coasters has been operating unopposed for quite some time. And it's always been Castles and Coasters is tiny. It's probably not even 5 acres. But they've got their 2 roller coasters. And because it's all attached to the big arcade room, you can always duck into the arcade from wherever you are to get some AC. Indoor amusement parks, Phoenix was made for indoor amusement parks.
It's so hot out there.
A proper indoor theme park is great. It's great for them. It's going to be a perfect fit. Because I think Phoenix, even though this project will be enough to attract people from all over the western side of the U.S. and will easily attract coaster enthusiasts from all over the world, the Phoenix area and Tucson alone can probably support this project.
And it's a big roller coaster, so it's a Chance Rides.
The first one is Hot Wheels Bone Shaker, the ultimate thrill ride, which is a fairly large non-looping coaster that it's about the same scale and scope as the Nickelodeon Slime Streak at Nick Universe.
I'd say it's bigger than that.
New Jersey.
Because it goes all the way around the building, and then it has that really big element that goes all the way off the side of the building.
Yeah.
It looks like it's the scope of it's just much larger.
Yeah, it's even bigger. It's the Slime Streak, I think, on steroids. And it's going to be a great hood ornament for this park because of the way that a lot of it pops right out through the roof, like Desperado style. And then most of the ride takes place on the roof. The helix is, I think, behind the primary building for the park. This is a really fun ride.
It's fun because the name for the ride, which is the Ultimate Thrill Ride, sounds a lot more intense than the name of the other coaster, which is Twin Mill Racer. But Twin Mill Racer is going to be like a little hyper coaster.
Yeah, that's the Hyper GTX coaster that will have a launch and 4 inversions.
2 vertical loops and 2 corkscrews. It's going to have 4 inversions. That's crazy.
And it has the signature Hot Wheels orange track.
Too. Yeah, and it has... it's going to be entirely outside except for the station and brake run, which are inside. It's a big ride.
What they're doing here is really similar to what the parks on the Persian Gulf, the successful ones, are doing, which is building indoor parks that have roller coasters that
go
poke outside and then back in. There's only 3 attractions at this park that will go outside: the 2 coasters and the Thomas the Tank Engine train ride that will circle around at ground level.
Does Thomas the Tank Engine also Mattel?
Yes.
Okay, I had no idea.
Yeah, Mattel owns the toy rights for Thomas. Thomas is a kind of complicated intellectual property, but as far as the toy making, I think Mattel owns that outright. So the big areas, there's going to be a Hot Wheels area that will have the 2 Hot Wheels coasters. There's going to be a Barbie area, obviously, and a Thomas the Tank Engine area with lots of kiddie rides, and then some other areas too. I know there's going to be a flying theater there. And probably some other flat rides. There's going to be a 3-story Barbie dream house with a rooftop bar. And
that sounds very promising. I'm very excited.
I'm super excited. I will be there first thing. I can't wait.
Yeah, because I wish there was more recent photos that I was able to discover on this park because some of it's kind of from last year.
Yeah,
but Yeah, it's looking really cool. And back on Hot Wheels Twin Mill Racer, the Hyper GTX Challenge Coaster, I'm really excited. The 4 inversions is big, 2 loops. I mean, themed to the Hot Wheels, classic orange track. This is sounding really, really nice, and I'm really excited for it.
To me, it seems like the kind of coaster that you expect when you think of a roller coaster being themed to Hot Wheels.
It's gonna be launched too.
Yeah. There's a concept, a loose concept of it from a Chance Rides booth. I think this is probably from Europe's IAAPA.
It was IAAPA 2021.
But here you can see there's a vertical loop, and then an overbank, another vertical loop. Looks like there's loop, corkscrew. I think it's going to be really cool. I think that it's going to launch right into the first vertical loop, which is so Hot Wheels.
Yeah, for sure.
Is that not like the most Hot Wheels thing ever?
Apparently, the first ever press release on June 19, 2021 depicted it as having a vertical loop, a sidewind, and 2 corkscrews.
Yeah,
but then in the booth in 2021, it was a double corkscrew.
Yeah.
Or two of each. So I guess we'll have to see what the actual final ride will be, because at least the concepts are kind of differing.
I'm excited for them that the concepts are changing to be more exciting. Oh, and this is... Okay, so there's the train. We were asking about, like, if the train for the ultimate thrill ride is going to be like more comfortable than your standard Chance Rides Little Dipper ride train. And it looks like it's going to be more comfortable.
I hope so.
Maybe not, like, the most comfortable, but certainly better than Slime Streak, which is terrible for legroom.
And then next up on our list, we are going back to the Northeast, which is a good year for coasters, by the way. Dorney Park and Wildwater Kingdom are opening a B&M dive coaster, which is completely custom, designed for the park. Has the 7 across seats, much like Dr. Diabolical at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. The coaster's theme is nice, definitely, I think, for the region. Iron Menace kind of theme to... What is it, like a steel plant?
Steel mill.
Mill.
The animation for the launch cracked me up, because it definitely seemed like it was a ride that was themed to pollution.
Right.
Like, pretty unironically, like, this ride is themed to pollution. But it's really themed to, like, big steel, I think.
And it's going to be a nice addition, because for Dorney Park, this is a big ride. I mean, they've got 2 other B&Ms. They've got Hydra, the Revenge, and they have Talon. And, of course, they've got the Hypercoaster Steel Force. And... they've got Possessed, which, those are 4 major rides, but I think this is going to definitely be like a top 3 for them. Length is 661 meters, pretty decent for a dive coaster. It's going to be 48.8 meters tall, so about 150 feet. Drop is 46.3 meters. Top speed is 103 kilometers an hour. It's going to have 4 inversions. The dive is going to be 95 degrees, which is nice, so beyond vertical.
Mm-hmm.
The actual layout of the ride is kind of chill. I appreciate what they've been doing, especially because of the tilted loop or the inclined loop. But yeah, the ride starts off with just a regular, obviously, lift hill. And then don't make any turns or anything on top, which is interesting, because I feel like most dive coasters, you have some sort of turn. But you just go straight into your 3-second holding drop, followed by your drop, your Immelman inversion, followed by a giant zero-G roll, which they like to call a barrel roll, but it's definitely more of a zero-G roll. And then you've got your inclined loop, which is cool, and followed by a giant corkscrew, much like the one at SeaWorld San Diego on Emperor, and then a swift turn into the brake run. It's like a very long brake run, so it must have a lot of speed left when it comes in there. But if there's anything like the other new ones, I mean, the new B&M dive machines are awesome. Like, I don't care that they have fast restraints, because they're just feisty little loopers these days. I love them. Yeah,
if this ride is anything like Emperor, I'm going to be really, really pleased, and I think it's going to be a great fit for Dorney. I mean, Dorney really needed anything. It's a pity that Stinger didn't work out for them, because I thought Stinger was a really cool fit for this park, but now they're finally getting like a major roller coaster replacement that's something different than their competitors. Like Great Adventure and Hershey Park do not have a ride that is similar to this, so I'm glad that Dorney Park got to do this.
In the area, yeah.
I'm really curious about the tilted loop. I hope that it feels the way that, like, the ones on the stand-up coasters feel.
Or I think mostly, because I think my favorite one is the one on Rougarou.
I hope it feels like Rougarou.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm asking a lot, but I think the layout is perfect. I think I like that. It's not the longest ride in the world, but every element that it has a purpose.
Well, I think one thing I appreciate about this ride is that it's very clearly one of their like once a decade big moves. And so when you look at the queue in the station building, they're going all out. They're incorporating the existing train ride around the park. It's going to go through that same building.
Oh yeah, that's really cool.
The queue, even though it has a typical Cedar Fair switchbacks, it has custom kind of theming. It's not just going to do the boat sail thing. It really is going to have these custom roofs and stuff. Overall, I'm just really excited. I think it's a great fit for them. I love the new dive machines, and this looks like it's going to be no exception.
I'm probably going to want to ride this over and over and over again.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited for this. Obviously, if we look at the grand scheme of the U.S. parks, there's like the obvious big boys for next year, but this, I mean, the area around, Great Adventure, the Tri-State area there, it's going to do good. It's going to do good. It's popping next year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to our Northeast trip that we're going to take next year for The Flash, Iron Menace, and Wildcats Revenge.
I know. I need The Flash to open before I decide to leave the New York area.
That's so true.
All right, next up, we are staying in the Northeast, and we're going to Midnight Flyer at Santa's Village, which, nothing grand, but I want to shout this ride out because it is going to be at Santa's Village, which doesn't really have any major big
it's New Hampshire
rides. And now it's going to get a really nice custom layout, which I guess is actually technically a production model that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
Vekoma family coaster, themed to, obviously, reindeers. Midnight Flyer has cute theming, has a cute...
The layout, I think, looks
terrain
cool.
Look. It looks nice.
Even though it's a production model layout, we've never seen it. It's never been built before. So it will be a de facto custom roller coaster or custom feel. It'll be a unique coaster in the world, at least until another park buys this layout. And there's so many production model Vekomas now that they're so infrequent that they don't even really feel like production models.
Yeah, they feel like custom layouts.
Gone are the days of SLCs and boomerangs where when you built a production model coaster, it really felt like it. Now, they've got 7 different kinds of family boomerangs and 12 different kinds of family, roller skater type coasters and all of these different layouts for the loopers and the super boomerang and stuff. So even though this is a production model, I'm treating it like it's a custom, and I think it's going to be so cute. And we will definitely have to ride it when we eventually make our way to Canopy Lake. I haven't been there since 2013. I love that park. It was a really cute park. Since they chopped the Canopy Corkscrew recently, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, they have a major coaster on the way, which will then be the catalyst for us to go up there. Because I feel like they're overdue for a coaster. Now that their only neighboring park is getting a coaster, maybe it'll motivate them to do another coaster, and then we will be up there for that.
And now we're going to take a break from roller coasters and mention the jellyfish experience at SeaWorld San Diego, which is really cool because in Asia, we've done so many aquariums or amusement parks that have a big jellyfish experience kind of aquarium setup. And now we're getting one here in the U.S. And first of all, it's nice to see SeaWorld Park open a new animal exhibit. Doesn't happen a whole lot anymore. So that's the first and foremost nice thing about it. And secondly, I just think it's going to be a cool fit for SeaWorld San Diego. I think they still have the most animal focus of any of the SeaWorld parks anyway. I think they have the coolest aquarium collection and exhibit collection. And I think it'll be a really nice addition, especially after they just building coasters back to back to back. I mean, in the last 5 years, we saw Electric Eel, Emperor, Tidal Twister, which is now being removed, by the way. It's physically being chopped up.
Isn't Tidal Twister where the jellyfish thing is going?
Well, there's an aquarium next to it. I think that's where they are... they're going to just put it inside that aquarium.
They should just turn Tidal Twister into a garden.
Yeah, something to chill around. Or just a flat ride.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then they also built the brand new Arctic Rescues. There's a lot of new roller coasters, and I'm excited to have something non-roller coaster, despite also loving all the other new roller coasters they've got. That's for sure.
Agreed. It's really the only non-roller coaster thing that made it onto our lists proper, because this isn't really a big year for brand new non-roller coaster rides. 2025, for the United States anyway, 2025 is going to be a big year for non-coasters, pretty much exclusively because of Epic Universe. And we've had some really strong non-coaster rides in the last few years, from Disney and Universal. But 2024 is going to be a bit of an off year, I think, for major rides that are not coasters. And even even Six Flags, by their standards, is not. Some years they have like spammed their parks with new flat rides and such. But I think like the Six Flags Great America is getting a giant Discovery, and it's going to replace their old Huss Frisbee, and that's like kind of the biggest flat ride addition. And then Adventure Dome is building a SpongeBob dark ride.
That's right.
And that's going to be like the big dark ride for 2024 in the States. It's going to be at Adventure Dome, of all places.
No, we cannot forget Bayou Adventure being
that's true. Yeah.
The big, I think.
Yeah.
And they're both 2024,
yeah,
right?
assuming that they finish on time, they're supposed to be finished November of 2024. We will see Tiana's Bayou Adventure opening at the Disneyland and Magic Kingdom parks, and we have very high hopes for those.
I'm excited for those. And even though they're not from the ground up brand new, for all intents and purposes, they're going to be new experiences.
They will be brand new attractions that will be filling the vacancies left by the former Splash Mountain attractions, and they will be well welcomed and sorely needed and well loved, I think. So yeah, true. But that's pretty much it. Those handful of rides is pretty much the high profile non coaster announcements for the United
States. Yeah, if we forgot anything obvious, then obviously let us know, like in any comment section or messages on social media. But the time of recording, October 30th, that is the ride collection of the attraction collection of major theme parks in the U.S.
And even though SpongeBob has been announced, that's kind of one of those things where I feel like it's not there until it's there, because Adventure Dome famously announced a Chance Rides family coaster that never materialized. It wouldn't be the first time that they announced a ride and then it didn't happen. So at least with Adventure Dome, it's not there until it's there. And I was just at the Adventure Dome last week, and there was no signage for it. There was no teasing of any kind. You wouldn't think that they were working on a new ride or preparing for a new ride at all by being there, which is always a little suspicious. But then again, the Adventure Dome is kind of a weird place, and it's owned by a creep who probably shouldn't be owning theme parks. So who knows?
Anyway, we digress. Next up, we have Palindrome
Palindrome at Codaland, the full circuit shuttle Eurofighter project
again to Texas
has been delayed. The whole Codaland project keeps getting pushed back. At least we know, because Palindrome originally was supposed to open this year, but they're not even, when they announced it, it was for 2023. But they weren't even close to finishing it for 2023. And for 2024, they were supposed to be opening, the new park with the tilt coaster and stuff, which, as far as, Roller Coaster Database is concerned, the tilt coaster and all that stuff is still happening in 2024, but that has, a big asterisk.
For the intents purposes of this episode, given 2024 is in, 2 months, we're not expecting the Tacoma Tilt Coaster Circuit Breaker to actually open next year, and for that reason, we don't really include it in this episode.
We knew we were going to mention it, but we were like, all of these there's only one tilt coaster that could actually open 2024, and that's the one in Saudi Arabia, because it's already almost finished.
But back to Palindromes, I think that's a little more realistic for it to actually open next year.
Yes, because it's actually being built.
The track pieces are actually physically there. Length of 375 meters, height of 29 meters, top speed of 82.1 kilometers an hour. 2 inversions, but it does it backwards too, so it'll be 4 inversions. Overall, it looks pretty good.
This seems like a really cool ride.
I'm most excited for the vertical spike that kind of has a wobble in it.
Yeah.
Must probably be best in front row. But yeah, it looks like a really good ride. Nice integration with the existing infrastructure going over the road.
Yeah.
It looks nice. Yeah. It looks good. I'm excited for it.
It's just different. We love different.
And I'd say a little bit of Mystic.
Yes.
And Violet Bironop, which also has a vertical lift, and then you eventually get to a spike because of a track switch, and then you do your way backwards to the station.
Yes.
It looks good.
Of all the existing Gerstlauer projects, I think Mystic is the one that Palindrome is the most like.
Yeah, except for it's a lot more sprawling. I feel like Mystic kind of stays in its own plot better. But all things considered, looks like a good ride for sure. And sticking with the P's, we're going to penguin track here at SeaWorld Orlando.
Penguin!
Quite long, actually. 920.5 meters long, so it's like a kilometer long almost. Top speed of 69.2 kilometers an hour. Reusing the previous Penguin...
The Penguin Encounter dark ride from Oceaneering.
Yeah, Empire the Penguin.
Or Empire. And that opened in 2010, I believe. And it was a cute but kind of small trackless dark ride. But at the time, it was really impressive because Disney hadn't opened any of their trackless dark rides yet. Disney would be many years away from giving us a trackless dark ride.
At Disney World.
At Disney World. At Disney World. Or even in Disneyland. I mean, this opened even before the Rollicking Roadsters at Cars Land. So the LPS, local positioning system dark ride setups that you can find at Disney parks and elsewhere. This was still kind of a pioneering moment for SeaWorld and their first true dark ride. So it was cool. It ran its course though, because I feel like it went from being interesting and cool and technologically advanced to after 10 years, people were kind of like, what is this? It was kind of just small potatoes. And then it didn't survive COVID because I've heard all sorts of reasons for why.
So the next thing with the roller coaster is it is going to feature a prominent dark ride section, which is believed to have very similar, if not the same, theming as it has right now.
What was once
going through the ice caves, and so for when the train leaves the station, you'll kind of drift downward. It's a bit of a roller coaster section that goes into the dark ride, where you will be going into the caves, and there'll be all sorts of really beautiful, kind of more like an aesthetic, I think. And then eventually, the art concepts for it call for snow, like a snowy icy tunnel, and then you launch out of that eventually. But it looks really cool, and it looks like there may be some projection mapping on the giant screen that's going to be integrated off Penguin. So it looks like they're going to retell a similar story of penguin migration and whatnot in Antarctica, but then on a roller coaster, which will be nice. Then you launch out of the tunnel, and then there's going to be quite a significant outdoor section that goes all over what the Antarctica area is, including right over where Pacific Point is, which is where the sea lion exhibit is, all over and around Manta. And then you finally make your way back into the backside of the building, and I'm not entirely sure if the new exit station is going to be inside the penguin exhibit, like the old dark ride, but it's very possible.
That's what I've heard,
and
too.
That would be very nice if you actually exit inside of the
penguin reveal
exhibit. Yeah.
A la the Empire of the Penguin.
I like the name, too.
I think it's so neat that they're taking what was once a small dark ride and making it... They're reusing the entire dark ride portion and building a whole roller coaster out the back of it. So it's a huge upcycle, I guess.
Oh, for sure. And then the trains are unique, one-of-a-kind B&M trains that are going to be individual articulating vehicles, two people side by side. I'm not sure what the legroom is going to be like. From the concept, it doesn't look great. But I guess we're going to find out. But all things considered, it's another one of those snowmobile kind of themed coasters that SeaWorld loves going for. But I think it looks really, really good.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit surprised that it's a B&M product, especially after they've just built 3 straddle coasters from Intamin, which have all been water jet ski or snowmobile themed. Anyway, maybe it's just because it's the Florida parks, their attendance is just so much higher. Maybe it's a quality thing. We'll see. But all things said, I'm actually really excited for it. I think it's going to be a really nice fit for the park, for sure.
However, there's still plenty of B&M action. I think there will always be room for Intamin and B&M projects happening concurrently at the SeaWorld and Busch parks, because even though for this year we saw 2 new Intamin straddle coasters for the SeaWorld parks, and also we saw Pantheon. Was that 2021 or 2022? Did it actually?
Pantheon was one.
That was one. Okay. We're also getting the B&Ms are alive and well with Emperor at SeaWorld San Diego, and now Penguin, the new Penguin coaster, Penguin Trek, and then right just down the road at Busch Gardens Tampa, we're getting Phoenix Rising, the first B&M family invert outside of China. And it's going to have a...
I stand corrected, Pantheon was 2022.
Okay, it was 2022. It was one of those things where they were teasing us that it was going to open in 2021.
Because we sent the ride vehicle in 2019.
I know.
So, at this point...
So But yeah, basically it's like the relationships with both of these Swiss juggernauts are alive and well in the SeaWorld and Busch Gardens realm, because we're seeing like multiple major attractions from these companies happening concurrently with each other. Phoenix Rising is a huge surprise, and I think going to be such a cool addition to Busch Gardens Tampa. And unlike the family B&M inverts at the Happy Valley parks in China, which are based on the Vekoma family invert Kvaston layout, or like Freedom Flyer at Fun Spot here in Orlando, this will be a totally unique layout that will be designed exclusively for Busch Gardens Tampa. It will be occupying the plot of the Phoenix Intamin looping ship ride, hence the name Phoenix Rising.
It's quite a big plot, because after staking out Sand Serpent, they've got so much space to work with, and it's supposed to kind of go around the area a little bit.
Supposedly it's going to hover over the safari area, like the Serengeti. Like, it's going to go over the train tracks a little bit, which I think will be cool, if true. And it has like a little overbank swoosh moment that will serve as the ride's marquee. I think it's only going to have one train. I think I saw in the blueprint that there's no transfer track or anything. And that would be true of the other B&M family coasters as well. But if it has a long enough train, it has to have a pretty long train. It's going to hold like 20 passengers per dispatch, maybe 22.
Yeah, 20 passengers, 20.
And, I mean, it's going to have a fast lift hill and not a particularly long layout.
I like the aesthetic so much of it. It's going to go so well with Pantopia, which is kind of the more playful aesthetic that they have in the park.
Colorful.
Yeah, it looks really, really nice from the concept art already. It looks like it's cute landscaping. It's going to be a nice addition to the rotunda with the theater, having the giant indoor food hall, and then having Scorpion, Falcon's Fury, and now Phoenix Rising. It's going to be, I think, a really nice little collection of rides there. It's going to be awesome.
I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and like I said, lengthwise isn't too long, because it's only 558 meters long. And the top speed is pretty good, 71 kilometers an hour. So it's looking really great.
Also, I don't think it's going to even.
Next year.
Is it even going to have a brake run, or is it going to be like?
I think for the concept, it looks like there's a brake run. Yeah, so that makes me think there may actually be two trains, because there's a really long stretch of straight track at the end, which I think is the brake run.
That would be. I mean, if they can get it, if they have room for a transfer and two trains, that would be awesome.
Because I think this park of all the parks,
there was a blueprint that didn't seem to show a transfer. But then maybe that's, there's probably more to the story than that, hopefully. I guess we'll see. I think it would work out well either way. Especially, like, the cool thing about not, like, some of the family coasters, the Vekoma family inverts, is like they don't even have brake runs. Like, the station is the brake run, which allows for very compact rides being built in spaces that wouldn't necessarily normally be able to accommodate a ride of that stature, because they don't even have to build a brake run for it if they're only running one train.
And so next up, we have the...
more family goodness.
The Snoopy's Soapbox Racers, Vekoma, Family Boomerang, and Kings Island. And this is actually a pre-existing layout. This is like number 20 being built of it. It's a 208-meter rebound layout. But it's going to be nicely themed to, obviously, Camp Snoopy, which is really great because Camp Snoopy is the best of the iterations of any Snoopy-themed area, and I'm looking forward to all of the work they're doing and all the rides around to make everything look cuter, and then having a new family roller coaster is going to be cool. It's already one of the largest family areas in the whole world, and now having this new coaster is going to be a very nice addition.
I love the train and how it's a different soapbox
for everyone, for sure. And I really like the theme as well, so you kind of go through what is kind of like a cabin. It's a station, and then you blow over the roof of the cabin, which is where Snoopy is hanging out on the terrace. So it's kind of a cute theme they've got going on for it. Nice landscaping and rock work and the concepts for it. Ride itself, again, like I said, it is a production model, but all things considered, it looks like one of the better themed ones, actually.
Yeah. Nice we don't have this. It's funny that Holiday World and Kings Island are both getting Vekoma family boomerangs, because there's never been one of these in the States yet, and now there's two in the same region. But they have very different layouts, and I think one of my favorite things about this Camp Snoopy coaster is that it's not replacing a ride. They're wedging it in between the family invert and the existing amphitheater and the log flume, in a slot that was previously occupied by just like a food stand.
Yeah, was it?
During the Nickelodeon years, it was a Krusty Krab.
Oh, nice.
Actually, like a little miniature. It was just a counter service, like a walk-up kiosk, but it was themed to the Krusty Krab. And so, yeah, no, they're getting a whole roller coaster out of a plot that used to just have a food stand. So that's something that I think deserves some praise. A lot of times, new rides come from plots of land that have been retired, and like in the case of like Busch Gardens, Tampa, like technically we're losing 3 rides because the little kiddie airplane ride is also going. We're losing 3 rides to get 1 new major ride, and it's definitely a fair trade considering like the looping starship thing was like dormant for a long time. But it's really refreshing when a park actually gets a net increase in attractions when they build something. Especially a park like Kings Island, where there's lots of areas that need redevelopment. We're still obviously waiting with bated breath for a vortex replacement. And then there's other rides at Kings Island that are probably on borrowed time. So the fact that they built a ride somewhere that didn't already have a ride at a park like Kings Island, I think is really amazing.
And then before we go to our final ride, we are going to talk about the unnamed new roller coaster at Six Flags Over Georgia, which is the first ever Intamin Ultra Surf, which is practically like a Mack Super Splash or Power Splash. Is Power Splash?
Yeah, it's
Power
like
Splash.
a hybrid between a Mack Power Splash and an Intamin half pipe.
Yeah, so it has spinning ride vehicles on the surfboards, but it also has a major splashdown. So it'll be cool. I'm a little curious about it. As for now, they haven't actually picked a name yet. There was a little like survey they were doing. You could submit a name, and they're allowing people to vote on some of the names. I don't think any of them are that good. But I digress. I'm excited for the fact that it's the first of a kind. It looks cool. It's about 179 meters long. It's 44 meters tall and about 97 kilometers an hour. So it's a pretty big ride. It's going to go right next to the Long Island Mine Train by the hill up on your way to the Superman Ultimate Flight and Battle for Metropolis rides. Looks good.
I'm excited about this ride for several reasons. One, Six Flags Over Georgia has really needed a new coaster, and I know I've already been talking about this a lot, but it's nice to see like a net increase. Technically not a net increase in rides, because this ride is replacing Splashwater Falls, which Six Flags has cleaned house on a lot of those older like 1980s era shoot the chute rides. What I love about this ride is that it is a launch coaster, which is something that Six Flags Over Georgia has not had since their Schwarzkopf Shuttle Loop that operated between 1995 and 2001. And I think it's cool that it's a prototype. I think it's cool that Six Flags Over Georgia is getting something that is completely unique, but also is just like a really nice hybrid of ride components that are successful and likable and enjoyable. Mixing the half pipe concept with the Mack Power Splash. I like that the seats spin and that your experience will be different a little bit on each ride. And I like that it's not going to be DC Comics themed, which actually I'm a little surprised by because of its proximity to the DC Super Friends area, like right there in what used to be the old Spain area. They've got like the Joker Madhouse kitty coaster and like the Bat Copters and the little Superman family drop tower and whatnot. But yeah, so for whatever reason, whatever restraint or whatever that they're practicing, I'm impressed by, because it's going to have a completely unique theme. I forget what names are being suggested. So like the Georgia Surfer, Aquaphobia, and then there was one more. I can't remember. But in any case, it's going to be a very uniquely Georgia, Six Flags Over Georgia experience, I think. And it's nice that they're getting another water ride. It's nice that the Splashwater Falls is being replaced with another water ride and not like a dry ride. Because at Six Flags Over Georgia, like, you can never have too many water rides. They've got their attached water park, they've got their log flume and their rapids ride. And Splashwater Falls was always a popular ride, I think, when it was open. So I'm glad that they're replacing it with something that will check the water ride box as well.
And now for our last,
finally,
but not least, Top Thrill 2, coming to Cedar Point. Obviously, this is the modification of the existing Top Thrill Dragster roller coaster by adding a giant back spike to it. The whole project is as well because the Zambrilla is building the back spike, and the whole redesign of it is all done by like a whole different company. And then you've got Martin and Flemix reinstalling all of it. So it's just a lot going on. All things considered, though, really excited. We'll have to see how those trains ride, because I have no experience with those trains. So we're going to get new Zambrilla trains. But I think the overall look of having that 400-foot spike on the back end of the coaster and then having the actual tower with the
It already looks very dramatic.
It looks crazy.
The pictures that people post from like the Halloween events at Cedar Point of the current construction, like it looks fantastic. It's a very exciting, dramatic shift. There has not been one addition to this park that has had this much of an effect, I think, on the skyline since the original opening of Top Thrill Dragster 20 years ago. So it's big. The bigness of it is what's exciting to me. They're really going for it. This is going to be, assuming that it's as good as it looks, it's going to be amazing. The fact that it's going to be a longer ride and it's going to do so much more than the original ride, while also being mechanically, operationally a lot less complicated.
I love how to market that everyone's going to get a guaranteed rollback.
Everybody gets a rollback, yeah.
It's actually pretty clever.
If there's
I hope it really goes up high enough for the rollback to be meaningful.
I hope it goes up really high. But I can't wait for that back spike.
I like how they call the only dual tower Stratocoaster in the world. I mean, it's a Stratocoaster in the world. It's not incorrect, but it's just,
there's really only one other Stratocoaster. I think because even like Superman does not. It's almost Stratocoaster.
And I like the marketing for it. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward.
I love the color scheme for it. The paint that it's receiving is really great.
Yeah, the blacks or the dark rays, dark supports. All things considered, I'm really excited for this. I mean, again, that quarter of the country is going to get
I have
so
super
much
high hopes. Like, I'm really, really... This will probably be, like, the coolest. Even though we're, like, really partial to the Flash at Great Adventure, this is probably going to be the 2024 project to beat.
And I just hope that the capacity is actually better than it has been. Because I just don't associate with lines moving very fast, despite having decent dispatches on it.
Yeah. That's the only thing, is the capacity for it... The theoretical capacity for it might even actually be lower.
Yeah.
Because now you have a train occupying the launch bed for a lot longer than the original ride would ever.
Yeah, but it wouldn't need as much time to get ready for the launch.
But yeah,
because it wouldn't sit there as long with the locking mechanism.
So it may... And the ride's just going to be open more. Like, it's just... The theoretical capacity might not... be any better. It may even be worse.
That's the fact loading the trains must be easier with these new trains.
On a practical level, it's going to have better capacity because it's going to be open. It's probably not going to be a maintenance nightmare.
Let's have to work.
So that's what matters.
So what are you most excited for next year? I know it's hard.
I guess I just said it. I think
Top Thrill 2
Top Thrill 2 and The Flash, I think I feel equally excited for. The Flash I'm excited for because I know it's going to be flawless.
Yeah.
Top Thrill 2 is a little sketchy. Like, we don't know what to expect, but that is the most, like, that is one of the most shocking and unexpected announcements and, like, just, like, totally out of left field and shocking and
so I don't know.
Odd.
I feel like it's hard to pick because there's so many exciting rides. I'm excited for Catapult Falls, but I think Flash number 1, Top Thrill number 2, and then maybe Iron Menace number 3, I think is pretty fair. But then I'm also really excited for the B&M projects in Florida, even though they're family projects, particularly Penguin Track. So there's lots of things I'm actually excited for, but I think those are kind of the ones. I think the one downside I'm already foreseeing with Top Thrill 2 is that it's going to be such a crazy long wait.
Oh yeah, it's going to be
it's going to be the hype reel.
Hysteria.
Anything Cedar Point does is a hype reel. So,
but unlike Steel Vengeance, this is going to be a ride that I feel like is really deserving of the apeshit wait times and the mass hysteria.
Yeah, that sounds very, very
this
cool.
ride, no offense to Steel Vengeance, this ride is going to be a limit-pushing, totally outside of the box, total pipe dream, 12-year-old with no limits kind of project that just seems like so pie in the sky, lofty, ridiculous, foolish, but they're doing it. It's actually being built and it's actually happening. So
yeah, that's true.
I would have to actually give it to Top Thrill 2 over the Flash, only because the Flash is just, it's a clone of a ride that's already open.
Yeah, and
so,
it's a pretty modest
and it's just, and it's
ride.
going to,
for Top Thrill 2, it's just massive.
But what we know about the Flash is that it's going to be amazing, and we can't actually assume that about Top Thrill 2 yet.
There's so many changes coming that may not be as comfortable or as good as we think. I guess
like,
we'll have to find out.
I'm still judgmental of Zamperla. Like,
I know.
Zamperla
I don't think you're the only one.
Can build great rides, and they can build crap. So
I think that really is the thing I'm most curious about. Yeah, I agree with you. And with that, we're ending up this new episode of Coast Kings Radio. We'll get you on a brand new full-length episode every Wednesday, minisodes every Monday, and we've got some specials coming up as well. Make sure to leave a 5-star review wherever you're listening and find us on social media, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.